During the 1930s, Germany realized something. There is quite the profitable market for selling weapons, specifically tanks, to smaller countries. In rather quick fashion, 3 vehicles were planned out. The LKA, which Tank Encyclopedia already has a great video on that, which you should go check out. The MKA, and the ill-fated SKA, which was just an MKA armed with a 75mm gun and featured slightly thicker armor. If you couldn't already tell by the video title, today's subject is the aforementioned MKA. Now, the MKA's origins can be traced back to 1935 when Krupp and Daimler-Benz were in a pitched battle for the soon-to-be Panzer III contract. Daimler-Benz would win that competition with what would become the Panzer III Alpha A vehicle which honestly might deserve a video itself at some point, with Krupp being left holding the design for what they felt was still a perfectly serviceable tank. Well, in 1936, the official idea of exporting tanks to foreign countries was laid out, and in March 1937, Krupp would finally get the opportunity to blow the dust off of their failed Panzer III design. There were originally 2 MKAs proposed. One was the 4.5cm KA, was to feature a 128 horsepower air-cooled V8, 45mm cannon, and 2 MG-13 machine guns, and normal armor, which meant on par with the LKA. And there was the other design, which was designated as the 4.5cm KAV, which was supposed to feature an unspecified 300 horsepower engine and thicker armor, whatever that would happen to be. In April 1937, the requirements for the MKA were changed, and the MKA and the KAV were effectively merged into one vehicle, and would now be fitted with a 180 to 200 horsepower engine, and armor now being specified as generally thicker, with a predicted top speed of 40 kilometers an hour. It's worth pointing out that somewhere around this time, the second MG-13 would be dropped, as the Army requested the radio operator's position be removed as not to bring the vehicle too close to current German standards, but that will become a lot more important later on. Following these 2 revisions, at some point it was decided that the MKA would be fitted with the now still in development 200 horsepower Maybach HL76. In June of 1937, an important question was raised at Wahlproof 6, which was, would the MKA be actually exported, or could it serve in the German army? This question was left unanswered for the time being, as there were concerns with the HL76's development being finished on time. Unfortunately for Krupp, by October, their preferred engine had still not been made ready, so Wahlproof 6 instructed Krupp to use the 155 horsepower Maybach DS08 engine instead, which was primarily used in towing vehicles at the time, but worked well enough regardless. During this same disappointing month of October, Krupp would begin development of the 4.5cm Kanone L50 for the MKA, which could fire a 750 meter per second shell which could penetrate 40mm of armor at 1,000 meters, with the technical drawings being completed by the end of the month. Some theorize this gun was actually a German copy of the Soviet 45mm gun used in the BT and T-26, and was developed using captured examples from Spain. However, there's no real evidence to back this claim. The turret would not be designed until March of 1938, and rather horrifyingly for Krupp, the turret would not actually be produced until August 1st. In yet another disastrous twist for Krupp, on October 9th, Wahlproof 6 had already rejected the current MKA, stating the armor was too thin, as well as one very, very large problem. Now, one thing that complicated the development of all 3 export tanks was a very strict commitment to outperforming its biggest rivals like the Vickers series and the Renault R35, whilst also not selling the latest German technology to other countries. This included things such as optics, radios, and even the armor steel itself. Well, upon inspection by Wahlproof 6, they had determined that the cooling system used in the vehicle was far too modern. It would have to be ludicrously simplified before it could be accepted and exported. Work continued on this rather unfortunate project at Krupp, but yet in another disastrous twist for them, they could not get the revisions completed until January of 1940. It was at this point that they had finally, after all this time, managed to complete a single pilot model. This test vehicle featured 25mm thick frontal armor, 18mm thick hull sides, and 16mm thick turret sides, and was fitted with a 230 horsepower Maybach HL98 engine as a placeholder, as the requested HL76 had still not yet been completed, and the current engine likely could not be used as the vehicle would likely exceed the performance limits. Trials would finally be conducted experimented with the vehicle, and it actually delivered good results. Too good, in fact. The vehicle's mobility was better than the current German tanks, and its main gun was more powerful than the 37mm gun currently used in the Panzer III. The only major thing holding it back was the lack of radio communication. In the latter half of 1940, it was decided to finally put the MKA up for sale, but the Germans had made a rather severe blunder regarding their marketing strategy. You see, the previous year in September, they had kind of told Poland rather forcefully to stop existing, as well as also invaded several other countries, including France. So needless to say, the potential client list dried up pretty quickly because nobody wanted to be the guy who buys tanks from the people who just started World War II. In yet another disastrous twist for Krupp, Germany tried to sell the vehicle to Italy, Spain, and Japan, with all of them showing exactly zero interest in the vehicle. In a last-ditch attempt to cover their losses, Krupp would try and offer the vehicle to the German army. However, by this point, the vehicle fell short of the Wehrmacht's equipment requirements, and the German armaments industry was, needless to say, not entirely enthusiastic about having to produce yet another totally different vehicle. So at the end of 1940, Krupp would wake up from its tear-soaked pillow and finally throw in the towel with the MKA, with the sole prototype being scrapped and no other such programs being undertaken, well, for obvious reasons. Audible sighing. Anyway, that'll about do it for this here video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I apologize for the fact it was a little bit short. Just there wasn't really a whole lot of information on this vehicle, to be honest, but I still thought it was funny enough to cover regardless. Anyway, I want to give a special shout out to all of my channel members here. Love y'all, thank you for supporting me. And if you wish to support me, you can support me either here on YouTube or over on Patreon. Oh yeah, I also have a Discord server. That's something that I meant to say. Oh yeah, I know that in Europe, y'all don't really tend to celebrate this, but for all of my fellow Amerifriends, happy Thanksgiving. Just wanted to say that, and got a bigger video planned for December, so hopefully you all will enjoy that when it comes out. And, yeah, I am just waffling here, so bye, I guess?